it was brought to my attention that my video from Friday should have explained how your welder is about to be set up. So on this How to Friday video, I'm gonna show you the basic stuff on setting up your welder. First off, most of you, all of you doesn't have the same kind of welder. I have this one. It's from IMS. It's a French company making this kind of welder. Recently, I bought this one about 2 years ago. Before that, I had a Mechatronic from the late 80s. The basic setup is kind of the same. And if you saw my last video on how to weld, this is a Synthetic welding machine. So it basically means that you have a system that controls your weld for you, but not fully. You have some adjustments you have to do yourself. Most old cars, in this case Volkswagen, that you can see I have a great minority of, is about 0.9 millimeters of thickness in the metal by the used back then. So if you see on this welder, you can see some data right here, and on this one it's kind of a new system in an old way to adjust. So down here you have 1 to 7. That's the how much power you want to put in your welds. And up here on your most welders, you have a system where you can adjust how fast and how much welding thread that goes into the weld. Most older systems have 0.8 millimeter thread in the welder. For this system we use 0.6 millimeter, and it's very good for thin sheet metal. It can go very thicker even with this thread, but a lot of thread to fill up the welding gap when you're welding thicker material. So this is pretty good for sheet metal work and smaller work in bigger materials, but for sheet metal I would highly recommend 0.6 thread. Gas-wise, in Denmark we call it CO2 welder. That's an old term of welding. Actually today we are using argon and CO2 mixed together. So 82% argon, 18% CO2 mixed in a bottle. It looks like this. This is called Mission 18. So you can see 18% CO2 and 82% argon. So it doesn't have to be mixed gas, but I like it. The welds, it's getting better in this way, in the old style way. So on my welder and most welders, you have this kind of system as well. 1 to 7, maybe 1 to 8. And up here on the old welder, there will be the control for how much thread you want to do. On this one, it's very automatic. It goes from, if you keep your diagram between these two lines, then you'll have optimal synergy in your welds. So basically just adjust it for you. But here you have to determine what kind of sheet metal you are welding in. Most new materials you get from dealer is 0.9. and I don't know if you can remember what I said in the previous video. Some parts come from the manufacturer pre-bent or pre-grooved, and if you saw the last one, you can see this is clearly done the wrong way. So if you weld this in, all the moisture will come from the inside down to the back and directly down in your two sheet metal Siemens here. So this is no good. When I'm gonna weld this in, I'm gonna cut this line off and weld it without, or even groove with the opposite way. So anyway, if you are to weld this on your car, on this system, it would be a 3. And because of that, thicker material, you have to get some power to get the welds all the way through the metal. If you're doing edge by edge, like this. So if you're doing edge by edge, you and you have this kind of 0.9 millimeter sheet metal, you have to go up to 3 in power. And if it was an older welder, there will be a little picture of one here. And if it was an old welder, it would be around 3.5 in thread in your welder. So my extra sheet metal is the zinc coated or galvanized, as I talked about before. It's 0.76 millimeter thick material, so a little bit thinner than this one, but I think it will be the same setup with 3 to get the fully weld all the way through the metal. So here we go. Put them together. Just one more spot right here. And I think my plan will be going between these two. I will go 3 and then find some over here where I can go with 2 on the welder. So first up is 3. And if it was your old welder, if you're going on the 2, you have to go a little bit further down on the how much thread you want out of the welder. So now I'm going from here to about here. I'm gonna cross over this little tag weld, but let's see how it goes. This time with 2. Interesting stuff. So this is on 3 and this is on 2. But being a welder as it is, the penetration you can see is a bit more here and less here. But it's okay because as you can see it's fully welded. But the benefit with 2 on this application of sheet metal is you can see the heat zone is actually much less than this one. So interesting. But I'm gonna show you one more. Now I'm gonna get it to 1 on this one, so you can see what happens if you don't have enough power on your welder, what is going to happen to your welds. So here I'm going 1 to see what happens, and then we hopefully have some falls so you can see what happens. So let's try that. Doesn't like one. It doesn't like one at all. It's very unhappy. He was not happy. Yeah. I hope you can hear it. It didn't sound very good. Oh. But look at that. No penetration whatsoever. So this is not good. If you were to weld on a car and you thought, well, it looked like there's penetration and you can't see the behind, well, this is what the behind look like if you don't have any enough power on your welder. So that's pretty important. Think about this when you're doing welds. Take this as a tip. Almost every time you replacing metal on your old car, you will have some leftovers from what you're doing. So take this one, for example. If you were to put this on and you didn't have to do it all the way up and you got it right here, for example, then you have a little piece left you can adjust your welder to. So the overlaying piece you're gonna cut out anyway, use it, make a cut line and test your welder and set it correct. If it's like this when you're doing your test weld, that's not gonna hold very good and you get a really bad weld. So adjust your welder, get it up to power, get a feel for it and find a good speed when doing this. So optimal, you can see this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3 on the welder right there. So find a good spot and test your welder before doing it. In this test I did here, 2 would be fine for this kind of sheet metal. I don't think it's gonna do it in this. This is again 0.9 and this is 0.76 or something. So adjust your welder. That's the most important thing you can do. Check your welder before you use it. If you don't use it very often, test it. Find out if everything is order. Check the gas flow on the welder, on the manometer you have here. Right here. Optimal. You can see here, this is 10 liters per minute, and it sounds a lot, and it is if you have your welder fully on gas every time. But between 8 and 12 liters per minute is the correct flow for welding. If you're a little bit of cheat ass as I am, you can go a little bit lower. You can see mine is behind, just behind 10 liters per minute, and I'll bet it's gonna fall down a little bit when I'm using the welder. Not much, but around 10 liters per minute is it's what they say is good. So a brief resume: adjust your welder, test it before you use it, test it on the sheet metal you're doing. And especially if you have a bad sheet metal, some of the cheap sheet metal is even thinner than and this is and what I have here, and this is good quality from Autocraft or whatever it was. Yeah, Autocraft. So yeah, I can feel it. There's some thickness in this one. So again, if you're in doubt, measure it, how thick it is, so you can adjust it, and then you adjust your welder for this. So next up, in the next video, we are doing a little welding on this early bay. I have already done some, but the next video will be me putting the Autocraft sheet metal and a new panel and fixing the dent in this side, and that's what I'm gonna show you next. So stay tuned, and see you next time.